Hello everyone, welcome back. In our last post-lottery sort of trade update videos, we got a couple more trades to talk about, some very interesting ones. We're going to talk about the McTavish, Zellweger, and Berard deals coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey Channel. If you haven't already and this is your first time joining, hit that subscribe button down below. Left your guys' thoughts down in the comments section. Like the video. We're trying to hit 750 subscribers in the very near future. I'll never be able to do this with all of you guys, so definitely if you are here, hit that subscribe button. And also don't forget to stay tuned for our live stream at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time on Wednesday for free agency. We just wrapped up the draft live stream, so if you want to go to my channel and check it out, definitely suggest you do so, and we're going to have more videos coming in the very near future. But in today's video, we just got a couple more quick trade recaps here to do, so just a few little things here. So first, the New York Rangers and Montreal Canadiens have made, in essence, a prospect swap. The full deal is as follows. Brett Berard was traded to the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for Will Trudeau. Both are 23-year-old prospects. Now, Berard has had a little more NHL playing time, so we'll get to the New York Rangers side first. So Berard wasn't really fitting in over well with the Rangers. He had a couple stints at the NHL level, had some pretty solid stints at the AHL level, but just wasn't really fitting in that Rangers forward group. So he gets out to Montreal. They get Trudeau back. He's an RFA, so the Rangers are going to need to sign Will Trudeau. He's a left shot defenseman, 23 years old. Once again, coming off a season at the AHL level where he had 8 goals and 20 points in 62 AHL games. Former 4th round pick in 2021. So I think Trudeau can be a really solid player. I still think he has like third pair, maybe spare defenseman capabilities. But he's still got to have a few more seasons at the AHL level. So a little bit more of a project here. But the New York Rangers do end up taking Will Trudeau. When it comes to the Montreal Canadiens, they take Brett Berard on. He's a left winger. He's 23 years old. He's also an RFA, so also in need of a new contract extension. Once again, Berard this past year played in 41 games in Hartford, putting up 6 goals, 22 points. Also had no points in 13 games, but he does have some really solid aspects to his game. And I feel in the Montreal Canadiens organization, if they were to place him in the bottom 6, he could be a really solid addition there for the Montreal Canadiens. So very interesting to note there, a little bit of a prospect swap in essence here, but the Montreal Canadiens add a solid bottom 6 forward, 4th liner, Brett Berard from the New York Rangers in exchange for Will Trudeau. So very interesting to note there. And then we saw the Ducks make 2 separate deals. I want to touch on both these deals together here. So first, the Anaheim Ducks moved Owen Zellweger to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for Anton Wahlberg and a 2026 second round pick that was 45th overall. And then on draft day, in the draft during it, they moved Mason McTavish to the St. Louis Blues in exchange for pick 15 and pick 29 in the 2026 NHL entry draft. So a very interesting move here for the Ducks. So we'll touch on these 3 teams here. So first for the Sabres, they are in go for it mode. They really want to try and improve this team to make it back to the playoffs again next year. So once again, future's not overly important to the Buffalo Sabres anymore. So the 45th overall pick, moving it, not too shabby there for the Sabres, who got that pick as part of the Bowen Byram deal. So it makes no sense to keep it. Once again, they're trying to go for it here. And Anton Wahlberg's a pretty good prospect at 20 years old, but they have a whole bunch of other solid forward prospects. Like there's going to be no space in the next couple of years for Wahlberg anyway. So they moved those 2 pieces. They get Owen Zellweger. Now Zellweger is 22 years old. He is a left shot defenseman. So a little bit of a confusing move in a sense because the Sabres already have so many left shot defensemen. Once again, it's an RFA. He's going to need a new extension. Probably going to take about $5 to $6, maybe even $7 million on a long-term extension. So very interesting to note there. Zellweger this past year had 7 goals and 22 points in 76 games. However, in the playoffs, he was actually healthy scratched quite a bit. So he sort of fell out of favor in Anaheim. I think even though he's a left side defenseman, if they maybe transition him to the right side, he could be a really solid second pair defenseman here for the Buffalo Sabres, putting up maybe around the 10 goal mark consistently and putting up like 40 to 50 points for the Buffalo Sabres. I don't think he's going to completely replace the loss of Bowen Byram, but I think he could definitely help that. So very interesting to note there. Once again, I don't think it's too hard for the Sabres to move off of Wahlberg in a second round pick, but they do at least get a solid defensive aspect here in Owen Zellweger. For the St. Louis Blues, they had 4 first round picks in yesterday's draft. So once again, moving off a couple of those first round picks wasn't terrible, and they still picked a couple of times in the first round last night, but they get Mason McTavish. So that's a pretty solid pickup here. McTavish is in year 2 of a 6-year deal, so he's still got 5 years left on his contract. He's 23 years old, center/left winger. Once again, sort of similar as with Zellweger, he sort of fell out of favor in Anaheim. He put up 17 goals and 41 points in 75 games this past year. I think for now going forward, forward, he's going to be the Blues second line center behind Robert Thomas, and maybe eventually if the Blues do end up walking away from Robert Thomas down the line, I think he could be the team's top line center. So once again, I really like this move. I think as peak, McTavish can be like a 25 goal scorer, putting up like 60 to 70 points. So like I really like this addition here for the Blues, and I think getting a little bit younger and adding a solid second line center is a very smart move there. They did have to give up a couple of first round picks, but they had 4, so I don't think moving off of 2 first round picks for some immediate help is overly absurd by the St. Louis Blues. So really solid move there from the Blues. They are able to get McTavish. And then for the Ducks side of things, they got 4 future assets in exchange for 2 current players. Now they just made the second round of the playoffs, so it was a little bit surprising to see him move off a couple of pieces, but McTavish, who was 6 on my end-to-end hockey trade bait list, and Zellweger, who was 18 on my end-to-end hockey trade bait list, both got dealt and are both now off the end-to-end hockey trade bait list. So once again, what did they get back? They got back 15th overall, 29th overall, 45th overall, and Anton Wahlberg. Now those draft picks have all been taken. 15th overall they used to select Nikita Klepov. Now apparently they were only going to do the McTavish deal if Klepov was available at the 15th overall selection, and they were able to select him. So not a bad pickup here for the Ducks, and I do think Klepov could be a really solid pickup here for the Anaheim Ducks. They also get the 29th overall pick, which they actually used to trade up to the 28th overall pick, and if I'm correct, used it to select Marcus Nordmark. So once again, a really solid winger who's got some pretty good size to him, and I think could eventually be like a second or third line forward for them. So once again, they get a couple of future maybe NHL players in Nordmark and Klepov with those first round picks. The second round pick they kept, and they used to select right shot defenseman Jaden Kurtz, who had a goal and 3 points in 16 USHL games. Once again, 6'3" defenseman. I do think eventually could be a behemoth on the second pair for the Anaheim Ducks. I do think he's going to need a couple of years development time, but once again, another really solid prospect. And the Ducks also do wind up getting Anton Wahlberg. Now Wahlberg is 20 years old. He is a center prospect. He's got this year and next year left on his ELC at $893,000. So once again, not bad there. Once again, Wahlberg played this past year at the AHL level, putting up 9 goals and 37 points in 68 games. I do think in maybe the next year or two, Wahlberg could make his NHL debut, and wouldn't be overly shocked if he was able to play like third line minutes long term for the Anaheim Ducks. So once again, not a bad pickup here. So they get Wahlberg and then draft Kurtz, Klepov, and Nordmark with those other picks they got in those deals. So once again, I don't know if they're going to be able to move off a couple more pieces. They definitely did get worse in the short term for the Anaheim Ducks, moving McTavish, moving Zellweger. We'll see how the rest of the offseason goes for the Ducks, but once again, they get some really solid prospects because of these deals. So very interesting note there. Those are the other moves I want to talk about here today. I love you guys' thoughts. That's all I'm going to talk about for today. Who do you think won these deals? I do believe that the Ducks probably won the McTavish deal. I do believe that the Sabres probably won the Zellweger deal, and I do believe that the New York Rangers probably lost the Brett Berard deal to the Montreal Canadiens. So I think the Habs, the Ducks, and the Sabres won the 3 deals we talked about in this video. But definitely love your guys' thoughts on who you think won down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk about for today. Once again, if you haven't already, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Tell all your friends the best hockey content on YouTube is right here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. We're trying to hit 750 subscribers in the very near future, so if you can, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We're also going to do a live stream at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time on Wednesday, so I hope you guys are able to tune in for that one for free agency. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so check that out. Leave a link to that down in the description below, and I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. God bless y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one.